Hello and welcome to our viewers on cruxinvestor.com. We spoke earlier to Ross McElroy. He's the CEO of Fission 3. He's the spin-off from Fission Uranium. We talked to him about the relevant experience of the team, some acquisition and options that they've got, strategies and model for developing this business, and also how they have gone about targeting projects to identify winners versus being left with just scraps. You can see these topics in the description below. Click on the timestamp to go to the relevant part of the video. And for those of you new to Crux Investor, please click the button in the corner of the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hey Ross, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, nice. Good to meet you. I've just been speaking with Dev, hearing about Fission. So this is the baby brother, Fission 3.
Yeah, Fission 3 is a spin-off of Fission Uranium Corp, and it's had about a 5-year lifespan so far, but kind of focused in a different area. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about that. So what was the incarnation of it? Why Fission 3?
Really, it was all about still wanting to be able to be an explorer. Fission Uranium, the big company, is really all about developing the PLS project, the RRR deposit. That's a project that looks like it has the legs and the ability to go through to ultimately a production story. Quite different than, the exploration arm. And really, that's what Fission 3 was set up several years ago. It was spun out of Fission Uranium Corp. And, just to be simple about it, what we did is we've acquired a lot of grassroots projects, primarily in the Athabasca basin. And our goal in Fission 3 is really to go out and make a new discovery similar to what we've already done several times in the other company.
Right. So this is a news story to everyone here. Let's just maybe take it from the beginning. So tell us a bit about you. What's your background? What's your skill set relative to this exploration play?
Sure. Well, I'm a geologist. I started working in the industry back in the mid-1980s. Interesting enough, I guess, and relevant for this story, my first job was with what's now Cameco. So I'd worked with a uranium major. That was my first real job out of school. So I've spent, the good part of my early career in the Athabasca basin, hunting for uranium, looking for those high-grade deposits with Cameco. I ended up working with the French conglomerate as well, currently called Uranium. And they were really in the same space and looking for deposits in the Athabasca. So that's really where I got started. I spent about 14 years with BHP, mostly in gold exploration, gold and diamonds. So I've been a mine geologist with them up at the Caddy. So I've kind of, I guess you could say my career has really spanned everything from grassroots exploration in through mining and multiple commodities, but really uranium is my main focus.
Right, and tell us a little bit about Paul Charlish. What's he do?
Well, Paul Charlish is our CFO. He's been the CFO with Fission Uranium Corp and has the same role with Fission 3.0.
Right. Okay. Fine. Because obviously Dev's the market guy, so it looks like you're the technical guy, and I guess you're driving the business, but you've been doing this 5 years. So what's happened in 5 years? You've made some acquisitions or taken some options. So tell us about that.
Yeah, no, well, it hasn't been acquisition. What we've done, and probably I guess the whole history of the company really since I got involved working with Dev back in would have been about 2007. We've been acquiring our own ground. So we're kind of set up to do our own staking, do our own investigating of where we want to be, stake ground organically. So we haven't done any acquisition deals. Now, we like to pick up the ground early because that's the least expensive, but you have to have the expertise to do it. So we've built a team that can acquire good ground that way. We've been successful. And ultimately, if we are successful, we're able, at least in the past, we've sold projects. We've been a project generator. We've been able to get other people to invest in our projects, and really that's kind of the model that we do.
Well, let's get into that, because obviously I'm looking through the presentation, which people should have a look at. There's a lot going on in there. There's a lot of ground. what is the strategy? You talk about the model, but what's the strategy here? You're looking at a lot of, or whether it be optioning or building out a lot of options here. At some point, you've got to make decisions because you need to finance this, right? This is expensive business.
It is. It is very much so. First of all, we start with the Athabasca Basin. That's a really, sure. I suppose it's the premier uranium district in the world. Certainly the home of the highest grade deposits. Yeah. It's where I've spent a good deal of my career looking for deposits. I've been very successful at it. So what we've been able to do is build a team of experts, geochemists, geophysicists, structural geologists, looking for these deposits, because although the rewards are tremendous. When you find a high-grade uranium deposit, they're probably more valuable than any other type of commodity. They're hard to find as well. So you have to apply the sciences of geochemistry, geophysics, and that kind of thing. So that's really what our team is built around, and that's how we go about starting to explore and make these discoveries.
So obviously some assets are better and some ground is better than others, and not all uranium plays are born equal, right? Even in the Athabasca Basin, even there. So
absolutely.
So what is the process that you're going through to identify the targets which you're going to focus on? Because we've spoken to a lot of juniors in the Athabasca Basin, right? And they're saying, because we're here, it's a home run, no problem. But that's not mining, right? So what are you seeing?
And that's not true. I mean, it's a home run if you make that discovery, but the failure rate, has been pretty high among juniors, and really, quite honestly, even with the majors. You make a significant discovery in the Athabasca Basin about one every 5 to 10 years. That's sort of when you look at it as a whole. I've been fortunate enough, when I first started, I was working with Cameco. We made the discovery of McArthur River, which is the world's largest high-grade uranium deposit. So that was a pretty good experience. You learn sort of the things that you're looking for. Because these are deposits that occur below the surface. There's no surface exposure. So you're really trying to use the science of vectoring in with geochemistry and geophysics, and so it does take a pretty multidisciplined team in order to be successful at it. And I think that having spent time with the majors, learning how they do it, I think that's bode very well for us, and that's why we've been successful at what we do. So there's nothing easy about it. There's nothing fast about it. But if you learn how to select the right ground, the techniques to go through a discovery, you sort of know when you're in the right area. That's what's important.
So how many projects have you got at the moment?
Fission 3 has 16 projects.
Right, that's a lot. It's a lot of projects. So you got to know what you're looking for, or else you're going to spend a lot of money. So how quickly do you get to the point where you can make a decision and go 16 goes down to 10, goes down to 8, et cetera, et cetera? How do you play that? How does it actually work?
Well, yeah, that's always, it's a bit of an iterative process. You're right. You have a land tenure sort of always in a state of flux. We pick up new ground. We, let others shed other ones. And that's part of the overall strategy, because you're right. Otherwise, you'll be spending money where you don't need to. And I think what we try to do is, first of all, we have a pretty good idea where the key areas are. And one of the strategies that we've used successfully with other companies in the past, Fission Uranium is a good example, Fission Energy, the predecessor of that, is we pick ground that's very shallow, where we expect to make a discovery within about 300 or 400 meters of the surface. In the high-grade uranium business, that's shallow.
Right.
You could it decreases your costs. It makes exploration actually somewhat easier and less expensive. And it's just that the whole process is really about evaluating. Ultimately, you want to get to a drill target. So you do your geophysics, you do some chemistry studies, you understand soils, and this sort of thing. If you get to the point where you do a drill target, then you're really looking for the subtle clues. You're trying to read the tea leaves that allow you to vector. What we're always looking for, I guess, at the beginning is smoke. All these high-grade uranium deposits have an aura around them of what we call smoke, and we're really looking for the fire, which is the prize right in the middle. That is the high-grade uranium. The dimensions of it are probably not very big. They never are. Even the biggest, best mines have, relatively small deposits. A lot of uranium packed into that, but your target's small. So you're really trying to get yourself focused, and make that hit.
And so I'm going to ask a question about the numbers here, and it may be a question for Paul, or maybe a question for David, but I'll ask you anyway. Obviously, market cap 14 million. It's not huge. You've been going at this 5 years. How long have you been going at it properly in terms of, Fission 3 proper?
Well, we spun Fission 3 out of Fission Uranium back in 2014. But at that time, really, the market in uranium had been very slow. So one of the things that we did during that period from 2014 to 2017 is we've been quietly getting ground, staking ground, picking areas where nobody's looking. And a lot of companies, to be honest, have not been all that active because the uranium market's been slow. So it's given us an opportunity to, I'd say, pick the best places. So we're picking the best fruit off the tree in the slow times. And then towards the end of 2018, we were starting to raise money into the company that allowed us to put those dollars into exploration, money into the ground. And so fairly quiet, lean time for the first few years. Now we're starting to.
Well, that's what I'm asking here. People can look at it and go, they've been going 5 years, they've not done anything. But the reality is it's only been just over a year. I guess when you first started, when you raised money, I think the share price is around 30 cents. People are excited. It's around 9-10 cents today. Your early stages is what I'm hearing. So I'm sure you'll say undervalued, I'm sure. But I'm more interested in the stage that you're at. And it really is about these projects and understanding what's there and vectoring in on which ones are more important to you than others before you move the company forward to the next stage. That's what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's right. And I kind of group our projects, although we're in the Athabasca basin where all of the projects are fairly shallow and kind of go around the edge of the basin where you would expect the shallowest deposits to be. As you move towards the middle of the basin, deposits could be there, but they tend to be fairly deep. So our ground is around there, but we're focused in areas where you say you would have historic mining district in the Key Lake side in the southeast part of the basin. That there's been a lot of discoveries and activities in mining history for the last 40 years there. We have property in and around there, using new models to look for uranium that people hadn't really used before. But in a historic area of known uranium. We're also have a really good land package up in the Beaver Lodge Uranium City District in the northwest corner of the basin. That's where uranium mining first got started in the province of Saskatchewan. Everybody forgot about it. That was in the 1950s, 60s. Everybody went chasing stuff around Key Lake, forgot about those areas. So they're really underexplored by modern exploration techniques. So, and the third area that we focus on is around in the southwest part around our PLS project, where this is where the newest best discoveries in the basin have been in the last 10 years. In fission uranium, we've made the Triple R discovery. NextGen have made the Arrow discovery. These are big, high-grade deposits in a brand new area. And so, our land package sort of focuses mostly in those key areas.
Okay, but so investor hat on, I'm trying to work out what's the timing from where you are today to that point where you're just creating a DFS, BFS. What's that time frame? So do I come in now, get in early? Do I wait, do something else, come back to you later? I mean, what do I do?
Well, let me give you some perspective with Fission Uranium and the PLS project, for example. That was a grassroots play, very similar to the sort of projects we have in Fission 3.0. In 2010, we did our first airborne survey of radiometrics, and we found, high grade. Well, we found radioactive anomalies. In 2011, we made the discovery. Figure out what those were. That was a high-grade boulders. 2012, we were drilling along the trend, made the discovery. So it was really about a 3-year period, 2 to 3 year period of starting to look at that project to making that discovery that was an absolute game changer. And I think that that's the kind of model that we're looking at. When we start looking at these projects, to me, it's probably about at least a two-year window when you start getting something really interesting that you might tag into. It generally never happens your first pass on a project. You have a good piece of ground. I've never seen anybody stake ground, make a discovery the first year. It just sort of doesn't happen that way.
And you've also got something in Peru, haven't you?
You do.
So,
yeah, this is the
Athabasca
first
basin and Peru.
It dates back to the predecessor of all of them, Strathmore Minerals. That was the first project into Strathmore in the 1990s.
Right.
Now, Strathmore, we saw various versions of fission out of that, but that was the first project put into the company back then. The government released ground. It was always, prior to that, you couldn't stake for uranium as a public company. So it was government-held strategic mineral titles. So they opened it up then. We acquired some ground down in that area. There has been an interesting history down in Peru. We focused more on the Athabasca, in our life, but others have made some great advancements down in Peru in the Macusani Plateau.
Okay.
Plateau energy.
But is it just are you parking that for now? Is that's something which the Peru?
No, and no. The reason we don't park it is because we're also a project generator. We've been able to attract somebody, an investment group that's interested in advancing properties down there. So we're looking for uranium and lithium in a partnership with a private company right there. So that really follows our preferred model of business that we do in Fission 3.0, which is we acquire the ground, bring in others to spend money to, and jointly together we explore and make discoveries.
Okay, that's smart. I guess the question is, for me, with the whole supply demand thing that's going on out there in the marketplace, everyone, everyone's got their own opinion about that one. But I think the general consensus is not a case of if; it's a question of when. For companies like you, there will be other starters. It happened in the last cycle. It's going to happen again. There'll be more people coming to the party here. Do you think that you've hit it at the right time? Do you think that people coming in are going to be left with scraps? If you spent 5 years looking at stuff. Surely you and others will have picked up the good stuff. What does it mean for all of these sort of new entrants coming in?
Well, you're absolutely right. We saw that in the last bull run back in 2000, started in 2003 and 4, and that time I remember seeing the entire Athabasca basin staked up. Prior to that, the whole eastern side of the basin was staked and had been so for 30 years, and that was mostly Cameco's holding. And you're right, there wasn't a whole lot of ground available, but even the big guys dropped ground. The ground that we picked up into the old Fission Energy was a throwaway from Cameco called Waterbury Lake, and it's just part of the process. They hadn't made a discovery there. They shaved off some ground. You could look at it as a scrap. We picked up a significant package in there, made a discovery right beside a company called Hathor Uranium had made their discovery. That was part of the same thing. So that deposit crossed the boundaries. So you can still look in these same areas 40, 50 years out even of exploration, still make a significant discovery. So that does happen. I think the key to everything it's not thinking whether you got the scraps or not, but it's whether you have a team, a technical team capable to look at something in a new way and make a new discovery and have the guts and the capital to be able to go out and explore. I've seen that too often. Now, PLS is another example where we just used a brand new idea, thinking outside the box, doing something that majors hadn't even done, nobody really had done, which was look for uranium in a new area outside of the basin. We were successful. So, you know, you can win both ways.
Ross, I mean, great introduction to the story. First time we've heard it. Wish we'd heard it sooner. Sounds like you've got a great team there. You're in the right part of the world. It'd be interesting to sort of see how these projects develop. You got to stay in touch with us and let us know.
Yeah, we'd love to. You know, we think that this is just the start of a new uranium market. You know, and now that we do have an established land package, we're not new to the game. You know, I think that really gives us a leg up on you know, what everybody else is doing. We've got the team, the land. We know what to do. You know, you start bringing people back into the uranium market, and it will become a bull market again once the price of the commodity continues to work its way upwards. I mean, I'm not going to get into the supply-demand story, but really once the price of the commodity moves up, and there's every reason to believe it will, that does create excitement for exploration companies in the uranium sector, and we're so well positioned to take advantage of that.
We look forward to hearing all about it over the next few months. Appreciate your time, Ross. We'll speak to you again real soon.
Very good.
Okay, thanks again.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thanks very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please click the button in the corner of the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also catch us on our website, cruxinvestor.com, and Cruxcast, our podcast series. Plus, most days you can catch us on LinkedIn and Twitter. We'd love getting your feedback, so please keep that coming, and we'll speak to you again soon.